Don't hate yourself. Don't hate how you look. Don't hate how you act. Don't hate how you think. Don't hate who you are. Instead, understand that it can be changed. Tell yourself that you can do better, but don't be self-loathing. Everyone can change, that's a fact. No matter what it is that you want to be changed, it's not impossible. The first step in self-betterment is to understand that you can improve. If you don't believe this, then you aren't going to get anywhere. It's as simple as that. To improve oneself is to refine their physical and mental health, which are the two things that make us who we are. The questioning of who we are is answered with the simple observation of these two aspects. Some seek out to only focus on improving one or the other, but I believe someone's best course of action would be to do both. If you aren't content with your physical health, then it's harder to improve your mental health. If you aren't happy with your mental health, then you may lack the self-motivation to do anything about your physical health. The two work in a dependent manner. You can't be happy with your physical self if you aren't happy with your mental self, and you can't be happy with your mental self if you aren't happy with your physical self. Since I've never been one that has struggled with my physical health, it's harder for me to talk about it from personal experience. But because there is just more to say about mental health, that's what I'm going to discuss first. The primary thing you need to put your attention on is self-control. The full control of emotion, thoughts, and actions is the ideal state. While no one has 100% control over these things, many can come close enough to tune them to their best likenesses. Being able to control which emotions are displayed allows us to dampen out any form of negative thoughts. The long-term goals of mental betterment is to be happier, and self-control allows us to do just that. But how do you obtain self-control? Well, it goes down to your mindset and ability to question and correct your own actions. I'm sure you've heard the term, think before you speak. It demonstrates precisely what needs to be done in all situations. But there's a problem. It's true that everyone should think before they speak, but if what they think isn't critical enough or lacks logic, the procedure of thought would be nullified. So our three goals in terms of self-control are to think before we speak, and when doing so, understand how to properly criticize our own procedure of thought, and to be able to apply them in our everyday life. Let's start with self-criticism. First, understand that you are wrong. Maybe not about everything, but everyone is wrong about something. Accept the fact that you aren't always right. Think about it like this. If you were proven wrong about something, there isn't anything bad about it, because you have now learned the truth about whichever topic it may be. Being wrong helps increase your own intelligence, as long as you're willing to admit that you are so. Yet sometimes you yourself should be the main person proving you wrong. Question your own state of thought. Ask yourself why you believe something, understand the logic behind it, and then try to get a grasp on the opposing opinion. Here's why you believe something, and why someone else believes something. It's the idea of being open-minded, which I've already made a video about. In most scenarios, it's safe to follow something that I've called the Account of Plausibility. It's basic, but it goes like this. It's safe to assume something if more likely than not. If there is a 49% to 51% chance of something, by the Account of Plausibility, you would be better off choosing the factor of 51%. This idea can be applied in many scenarios of critical thinking. But how do you apply this thinking in your everyday life? If someone acts on impulse, how do they simply become critical? Well, I've given it some thought, and I believe that one of the best ways is to have people around you tell you when you are acting in a specific manner. And when told so, do everything in your power to change it. Let's say you are talking to a friend, and you've told them to remind you when you are getting mad about something. Most people don't like to see other people get mad, so it wouldn't be hard for the friend to remember to remind you in that case. The continual reminder of anger will either cause you to become more angry or will actually make you question yourself and calm down. If you don't have someone to remind you, do your very best to be a self-reminder. Now, on the topic of physical betterment, it's important to stay motivated to do whatever it is you've set out to do. But how do you stay motivated? Because if you no longer have any interest in doing anything, it's much harder for you to dedicate time to do so. Well, motivation is mostly based on your mindset at one specific given time, so your consistency should never be reliant on your own personal motivation. Set a schedule, follow the if-then plan. If it's 2 o'clock, then I'm going to do this. And if possible, get someone involved in a way to where you would feel bad if you didn't show up or didn't do what you had planned on doing. This puts more pressure to actually get things done. You won't want to skip out if someone else is relying on you. The addition of someone else may also help your motivation. Having two people competing gives you more of a reason to accomplish your goal. Speaking of goals, give yourself a goal. Don't let yourself fall short. Never set goals way higher than you can achieve, but instead do it on a week-by-week basis or something along those lines. If you have an easy goal in mind, it may help you get further along than if you have a larger one in mind from the start. Now, also, in terms of health, what you eat is very important. And this is a prominent area in which you need self-control, or a powerful mental capacity. It really shows the need for both physical and mental health. But that aside, it's simple. If you eat something that you mostly wanted to avoid, the reasoning would be because you gave in. Physically force yourself not to if you have to, but mostly keep in mind that no matter what the circumstances are, it's never okay to let yourself indulge upon your wants. If your goal is to keep yourself from eating something, that is. Remind yourself not to give in. If you're at the store staring at a 26-pound gummy bear, maybe it would be best to remind yourself not to give in. It's as simple as telling yourself. The action alone may not convince you, so the next step would be to simply walk away. And while the situation I've displayed may not have its roots in reality, the thoughts and actions do. So for the most part, that's all I really have to say about physical betterment. If anyone has further advice in the comments, feel free to let other people know. While physical and mental improvement are great, there is a little other thing I'd like to discuss for a minute. It's expressive betterment, the learning of something to put into your own expression. We all learn how to get better at the things we do. My editing has gotten better, my scripting has gotten better, you get the point. But more important than knowledge itself is the ability to learn such knowledge. Knowing how to learn is very important, whether it would be expressive, physical, or mental betterment. The process of learning doesn't entirely mean accepting that what you've been taught is true. It's more understanding why what you've been taught is true. In self-betterment, knowing how to learn is key, but how do you teach someone how to learn? Well, it's complicated, and I can't claim to know a lot about it. To just understand something isn't just given to someone. As we go through life, we get better at how we think, how we act, how we understand things, and how we express ourselves. The idea of self-betterment should start as early as possible. Start before anything becomes a problem. Whether you find my advice helpful or not, we could all use some self-improvement.